Hey there, Python programmers. It's time to start coding out tic-tac-toe. So in this video, we're going to walk through the starter code, and then we're going to go ahead and set up our constructor. To get that starter code, you're going to want to go to the GitHub repository, and the link for that will be in the description of this video. We get there, we want to go to the tic-tac-toe folder, and we're going to check out these starter files. So here we have our tic-tac-toe ANSI art logo. Again, these multiple line strings, it's a good idea to abstract them to a separate file so you don't mess them up. We also made our little instructions to help our human player, again, kind of mapping the numbers to the tic-tac-toe board. There's a comment here, but this /033, this is to start underlining. So when we actually print this out, the top two rows will get underlined. Again, kind of finishing out that tic-tac-toe board pattern. And then this other one is to clear the underline. So our logo file, let's also check out our display file. So this is going to be a helper function that prints out the board. Again, there's a multi-line string here with a lot of spacing set up. So it's best to keep it in a separate file. Each time we print this board, we're going to want to clear the system first. This is really just making it so it's going to be easier to index down here. Again, if B wasn't used, we'd have to do board each time. And then what's going to happen is when there's no value you haven't played yet, well, that's going to have a empty space, so it'll just print as a blank. But then once we play a value, it will get interpolated into this multi-line string, and again, we'll be able to print out our board. Note we are going to have to pass the board to this function each time, but again, I think that's pretty okay. And then we're going to have our main file, class-based, and I've got all of our methods already stubbed out, so we can start working with it. Cool. So I'm going to actually start working on the solution. That way, as we go through, we'll build out the solution together and you can always grab that code. Let's start with a couple more imports. We are going to need our OS. From time, we're going to want to import sleep. We aren't going to need this for a while, but when we have our computer play, we kind of have a built-in little rest to make it feel like the computer's thinking. Again, the computer doesn't need that time, but it makes it a little more fun for the gameplay. From that logo file, we're going to need to import the two things there, our logo as well as the instructions. And then from our display file, we're going to want to import that print display function. Cool. So those should be all our imports. Never a bad idea to be documenting our code as we go. So again, we're going to put in some docstrings. Remember, this builds out our built-in help, so really good thing to do. And we are going to set up our constructor method today. So again, cool. So let's talk about what we're going to need in here. Again, we're not passing anything in. This is going to be just a self-contained class that once it starts playing, it calls the methods. The only thing we need to do is prompt our user for input. We are going to need to keep track of a board. Now, I have seen this done two ways. I'm going to strongly suggest one, but again, it's kind of up to you how you want to handle this. Sometimes I have seen this done as a two-dimensional list. And while that maybe makes sense to us, I'm going to suggest you don't. Again, we might think like this is a pattern to set up our board, but honestly, it's just going to mean we're double indexing when we don't really need to. It's going to be a lot easier to just keep track of our board using a single dimensional list. And again, I'll kind of show us why. There we go. So we should hopefully have 9 empty strings. Now, while this doesn't feel super intuitive in the sense that, hey, this looks like a tic-tac-toe board, again, we're really only keeping track of 9 values. So what we can do is something like this. And now it kind of feels a little more like a tic-tac-toe board, right? We have 3 rows, 3 columns. Again, we're only using a single list. It's going to be way easier to keep track of things this way than doing a 2D list. Couple other things we're going to need to keep track of. So because both of our players, player one and player two, could either be a human or a computer, we're really going to have to save that value. So as we're playing, we're going to need to make decisions based on which each of these player is. Basically, again, if it's a human player, we're going to have to call the human move, computer player call the computer move. So we want to keep track of what we actually save as our 2 different players. And we're going to start out with none, because again, from the very beginning, we don't know. We actually have this method that's going to set it for us. Another thing that's really important is to keep track of whose turn it is. So we'll do a player turn. A couple ways we could do this, like 1 or 2. You could probably do a true or false. I'm going to do 1 or 2 so we can kind of always tell whose turn it's going to be. Cool. And then the last thing we'll really want to do is just call a very important method, the play game method. We've done this in previous other game constructors. So once we've set up our board, got our players and whose turn it is, we're going to pass it over to the play game method to handle the gameplay and to call each individual method as needed. Cool. So this is our constructor. Again, gonna have to do a lot more with our class here, but this is setting us up for a very strong start. Hope you like this video. Next one will be coming shortly with our set player type method.